I am Danae Rudy of Rudy Horsemanship, and we're going to show you a little bit of Spanish walk. So this is my Mustang Rave, and he's been doing Spanish walk for a really long time. I literally just pulled him out of the field quick and said, "Hey buddy, do a video for me quick." Um, he's dirty, we didn't clean nothing. So, if anything, he's actually a little bit rusty. If I really work on it, I can get a little bit higher of a Spanish walk out of him. So this is my Lusitano Stallion, and he has never done any kind of Spanish walk at all. So if you see, the first thing I did was I rubbed him with my whip a little bit to make sure he was okay with it. I'm using a pretty stiff whip, and I'm tapping his front left leg. I'm tapping on the front of the leg on the cannon bone. And I'm just going to keep tapping until he does something that looks a little bit like the right answer. And he is highly confused. He is a young stallion, and honestly, there's mares around that he's kind of paying attention to, so I do not have his full attention. So there, finally, that front left leg moved a tiny bit. It was not really the right answer. He was just stepping around. But I at least paused to let him know you're getting warmer. So it's all about pressure and release. So the pressure is me tapping. If he totally ignores me, I'll do things with my left hand there to keep him from either moving forward, moving backward, moving sideways. If he gets his head too high up in the air, I'll bring it down. If he gets his head down too low, I'll bring his head up. So my left hand is just going to sort of keep him with me. And my right hand is just tap, 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 tap. And you see, I have to tap a long time. He is not understanding this. Oh, there. And so that was actually a pretty good response. I'll be honest, a Lusitano Stallion is probably the easiest horse you could ever do this with. Yeah, so he already gives me a nice big paw there. It is not hard to teach a stallion to paw, right? So you have to be careful they don't use it against you. I had turned around and I looked at my son who was videoing for me, and I said, "Results may not be typical," because I just touched his leg and he immediately got it. So you saw how much I had to tap for him to understand that. So I decided I would get another horse, maybe who is completely the opposite. So there I tapped TeeHee, and he did give me a response right away, but it wasn't a calculated response. I don't think he actually knew what he did. He just felt something and moved away. So he's just kind of wiggly. So I had to do a lot with my left hand to keep him from moving all over. So the other thing too is what I'd really like to do is reward when just the left front foot moves. Um, with him, he tended to sort of wiggle all over with everything. So I would have to be very clear that I just want this leg. I don't want you to step backwards. I don't want you to yield your whole body. I just want this one leg. So this would be a typical first day. And then over time, what I'm looking for is for them to bring the leg forward. So initially, I just want to keep working on this until one tap equals one lift. And it might be a crappy little lift, and that's fine. But I just want them to understand that when I tap, they're to lift the leg. And once they understand that, then I'm going to keep tapping until they bring the leg forward. So let's say I do this 4 or 5 days in a row, where I just tap until he understands to lift just that one leg. And then once he understands that, then I'll keep tapping until he gives me a good lift where he brings it forward. And so basically, I'm just going to use my pressure and release to shape the movement. So here I just turn my whip around. The stick that I'm using is pretty stiff, and you want that. But with him, I kind of needed it to be, oh, that was a great response because he actually did bring the knee forward. With him, I just thought it would be a little bit easier if I had it a little bit stiffer yet, so that's why I use the handle instead. You don't want a really whippy whip. You want a stiff whip. A really flimsy, whippy one, you can't really control it. Oh, good pony. He already figured it out. And this is the first time he's ever done this. Usually it's not so easy to get them to bring the knee forward. He figured that out really quickly. Take notice he tried harder when he thought he was going to get a little blade of grass. So for first session, that was perfect. So there you just saw 2 horses have their first ever session of Spanish walk. So even from that, you can start to see how it's shaped. And back to the pro. He's actually kind of being really lazy at it here. He was a little lazy with his front right, which is not totally typical. I'm not sure what was going on today. But anyways, yeah, that's then eventually you put it into movement. But a lot of people try way too quickly to put it into movement. I start with just one leg first. Actually, a lot of times I advise starting with the front right leg because that way, when you later start to ask for the front left leg, they'll whatever leg you start with, they'll just keep giving you that one. So when you ask for the other leg, they get confused. So if you start with the front right, that way when you finally ask for the front left, the right's not getting in your way. Whereas when you start with the front left leg, when you ask for the front right leg, they start moving your left leg, and then it gets in your way from tapping the front right. I do all of it from the horse's left side. Let's see, what else can I tell you? And then eventually I'll start doing what's called a polka, where I'll ask for the front left, and then I'll walk a couple steps, and then I ask for the front right, and then I walk a couple steps. And yeah, just keep shaping it until I get something that looks like a Spanish walk. And of course, here's a couple of Rave's other tricks. This is his circus bow. You already saw him do a regular one knee bow and a rear. And here he thinks I want a rear, but I actually just want a school halt. I'm looking for him to just bend his hind legs and sit. Not sit the whole way down, but to just rock back. Right there. That was all I wanted. Good boy.